Andres, great to speak to you. And I'm really looking forward to talking about the story behind Genoa, Italy's oldest football club. And we'll come on to that in just a moment. But I have to ask you, because everybody watching will want to know, tell me about the room that you are currently in.
We have the site of the oldest club in Italy. It's actually a palace from the 16th century. And it's a wonderful place to work because you are inspired constantly by the history and by the challenges on this fantastic city.
So tell us a little bit about Genoa's rich history, because people maybe that are newer to Serie A will focus on some of the other clubs, but silverware-wise, Genoa are up there with the Inters and Juventuses of this world, historically speaking.
Correct. Don't quote me on the records because I will maybe fail on telling you the right ones. But I believe we had like 9 league titles. In fact, what the people of Genoa ask for us is to get the 10th one so we can get the Stella, the star, which basically recognize the teams that won 10 times. Right? So unfortunately, it's been a long time since we had great achievements, and we have a very heavy load behind us about it's a very ambitious club, very ambitious city. We need to deliver, and we're trying to basically do our best to return the club to live up to its rich history.
Talk me through how the club has been able to not only return, but ensure that by the looks of things, based on the table at the moment, you're stable again within Italy's top flight.
Correct. When we came into a bit of a nightmare, to tell you the truth. I mean, basically the club was near dissolution. If you look at the numbers, we had a cost in excess of, between the roster was about 70 million in cost. We had like 4 coaches being paid at the same time. We had additional expenses of like 25 million for all kinds of things, from loans to agents to many things. And we went to Serie B, probably in part for our own mistakes of managing at the time. We prepared the Serie B campaign very carefully to ensure we have a winning team, and we were able to return while reducing our structural costs. We managed to get extreme support from the sponsors, from the city, from the fan base. So we had like the most, I think the 5th largest season ticket holders in Italy, both Serie A and Serie B, which was a huge accomplishment for us. We had some of the highest attendance even during Serie B. And fast forward to this year, we managed to have, I think, the 3rd cheapest points per salary spent in Serie A. We had the highest percentage of stadium attendance in Serie A, nearly 98% of all games. And we had like the biggest ever season ticket holders in the city's history. We're very active in the schools. We're very active with the young population. We interacted with local and global music stars. We had Kenny West attending our game. We had Rita Ora participating, collaborating with us. And we have in general a buzz. Many people come to the stadium that you don't even know, like big celebrities, because they just want to see what they hear about. So all of this came into a situation where we were able to have next season, we'll have a sustainable club.
How do you approach recruitment at this point?
Okay, we have our youth academy that has traditionally been one of the best in Italy in terms of transformation. From you enter our academy under 14 and you finish, we have one of the highest percentage of players that come in and become professional players in any professional category, be Serie A, B, or C. Okay, so with minimal infrastructure. So by enhancing the infrastructure, enhancing our personnel, we believe we want to be able to maintain and be competitive in recruiting around Italy and worldwide. And in fact, the success of the first team is also empowering our ability to attract new talent.
What benefit have you found by being in a multi-club model? We're seeing a lot of teams in England move in this direction. So Jim Ratcliffe's just come in at Manchester United, Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital at Chelsea, purchased Strasbourg.
Well, number one is a support of high quality personnel. We have I would say top-notch scouting team, top-notch group of professionals, technical directors, and we're working to develop also a top-notch commercial team. That will take a bit more time. So what I have is I have a top-notch data team. So when I'm about to look for a player, first thing I do, I send to Marco Tolini, who is our sports director, and we send to our team to evaluate the scouting reports we may have on them, the data we have on them. And there are very few players where we don't have any scouting data, we don't have any data report available to them. So that is a huge benefit of being a multi club, but also creates the way for us to find play time for top talent. We have a kid, 17-year-old, Sidou Fini in Standard Liège, top talent winger, that because of our module, he doesn't play here. But in Standard Liège, he's playing and is achieving basically, is developing, maturing as a player. So that's a huge.
And if 777 are able to complete their purchase of Everton, how important could that link be between yourselves and the Premier League?
Well, we already have a link. We had a very good rapport with Daniel Levy at Tottenham, and we were able to basically agree on transfer of a very important player for us, rather than Dragusin. So, of course, having Todd was my boss for 6 years, Todd Boehly. So I know him quite well. In fact, I was with him the day he was taking over Chelsea, having breakfast at the corner. So we discussed a lot, and it's also so we have very good rapports with different owners there, and stuff. Of course, if Everton things crystallizes, then it should just only enhance basically our rapport with the Premier League. But that's a different topic.
So tell me about Todd Boehly then, because Chelsea have been in the headlines. They've spent $1 billion. Clearly, Todd and Clearlake Capital are really ambitious, but they've kind of had to learn a bit on the job as well. What have you made of Chelsea and Todd Boehly?
Look, Todd is a fantastic guy, very smart guy. I mean, I know him for already almost 20 years, and I have only good things to say about Todd. I think I consider him more of a friend than a business partner, and I think he has the right ideas, and I think the team has improved under Pochettino, and I think we'll see extremely powerful Chelsea in the years to come. And I said, Todd, I think he's one of the smartest guys I know, and I think you cannot judge only things by appearance, and I think you give him time, he's going to be more one of the most successful owners of the Premier League club in years to come.
You mentioned Radu Dragusin. Tell me the story dating probably further back to the bit that people speak about, which is obviously the sale to Tottenham Hotspur. But you decided to loan, and then you took the option to buy. And it's incredible in many ways, because you must have known at the time that you got him that he had the potential to play at the very top level, and you were able to get him in the second tier in Serie B. And then I think when the purchase was completed, it was somewhere in the region of 5 or 6 million euros. And then you sell him within a year for 25 million euros.
Yeah, it's a bit higher than that, but I think overall it's up to 31 million, but base 26 million. So, well, we knew the potential. He just didn't have the right experiences. I think he took a wrong career path. When he came here, we said, like, you're going to play, you're going to be a starter from day one, and you have time to develop. We'll be patient. He made some mistakes at the beginning, but he's a very smart player. And from the beginning, he was able to correct those mistakes. And we just knew we have a fantastic talent. Our idea was not to sell. He didn't want to leave in January because he was so committed to the team. He said, I want to make sure that Genoa basically meets the goal for the year, and he said, okay, let me stay until end of January or something. But it was not possible because there was too much pressure from Bayern Munich, from Tottenham, from other teams too.
And just one more on Dragusin. In that final 24 hours, how crazy was it from your perspective? Because he'd seemingly given his word to Spurs, but then Bayern come in and he's blown away perhaps by the Bayern offer, and then he has a decision to make. Mm-hmm. From your perspective, do you just sit back and say, it's up to you, pick which club you want? Or was it a bit more chaotic from the club's point of view, having two major clubs chasing a player with the clock ticking?
Well, we want to believe we are a club that treats its employees and players, which are the employees, different. And even though the offer from Bayer was significantly higher, we told Radu that if your career, even though we are going to basically be in a worse financial position there, but at the end of the day, it is your choice. We're not going to impose. We could basically be all of a sudden say, okay, you don't go here, you sit down, and we'll never see you again. But we're very clear. We need to cooperate with our players. We need to make sure they have a happy life and a good professional life, and within reasonable parameters. We told them, you do what you want, and that was it. So of course we have like a strong pressure from both teams, but I guess Radu felt that he had committed somehow to Tottenham. Daniel Levy is a very shrewd and seasoned CEO of the football club, and he basically was able to convince everyone to do the deal.
Just a quick word as well on another player you mentioned, Albert Goodmundsson. You turned down an offer for around 30 million euros from Fiorentina. Are the club hopeful that he will stay, especially now you'll be in Serie A next season, or are you expecting more offers this summer?
We already had some interest for Albert in the last few weeks. And at the end of the day, it's also a discussion that we must have with Albert. And Albert, again, we have a very close rapport with Albert. Again, to us, it's more like family. And he needs to tell us, what are his life priorities. These are our priorities. And if we come to an agreement on a sale or to stay, he needs to be satisfied both parties. So we did increase his salary significantly to basically make him consider us as an option. So he's basically comfortable. But at the end of the day, he very much depends on his personal goals. And he's very identified with Genoa, with the city. He's one of the most loved players in the city, in the team. So at the end of the day, we'll come to a personal decision and agreement with us. So we'll see.
I know you can't name clubs and you probably can't put a price tag on it either, but we know that Fiorentina were the team that tried and failed, and we know that it was in the region of 30 million euros. So is it fair broadly to say that the interest is from some clubs in top 5 leagues in Europe, and the price is going to have to be a fair bit more than 30 million for it to be worth your while to sell?
Well, again, we'll find the right balance between what Albert wants and needs and what we need. So again, it's not going to be like it was the case with Radu, the highest paid situation, but the one that basically works better for all parties, because we're not going to impose anyone, where they want to go or not. We'll come to a solution on that. But yes, of course, we're talking about prices. We refuse a number, so you're making the right assumption. Yeah, and we do have basically interest from at least three of the major leagues that have expressed interest, have asked about Albert, and not only Albert, but anyway, several players in a group.
So heading into next season or within the next 3 to 5 years, what's the game plan on the football field, and how soon do you think it might be possible, for example, to get back into European football? The last time I believe you were there was 2009, 2010.
Okay. Well, I think the important thing is to be in contention. I mean, of course, being a top 10 team is critical in Italy, but what means to be in contention is that we should be fighting in the last 5, 6, in the last 8, 10 games of the season. We should be basically within reach of Europe. Yeah? In every single season we compete. To compete against, you had the likes of Milan, Inter, Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina, and Atalanta, etc. To compete for European competition is not easy. There is a huge gap in budget from our team to their teams, right? But R&D is basically about even starting next season, to be in contention, to be within reach of Europe, and after, like 2 seasons from now, to have a realistic shot and qualifying for European competition. That's our goal. That's a stated goal we had. I mean, I never had a stated goal of saving Serie A, because I had to take it as a given that we cannot think down, we need to think upwards. And I try to instill this philosophy in my team, in my coach, and everyone around me, even the secretary when you come in, or the chef. We're trying to instill a sense that we can do better and we should aim higher. And this needs to percolate across all segments of the club and all segments of society. And that's what we're trying to do, to be ambitious and to basically be always in contention for European competition.
And you never know, you might be able to have another famous night like 91-92 when Genoa beat Liverpool over 2 legs, including that famous 2-1 win at Anfield.
Yeah, I think now we have an even bigger reason to beat Liverpool. So now have an additional incentive to beat Liverpool. But so yeah, we hope to have many of those nights in the future.